everybody, and welcome to Friday Night with Jonathan Ross. Thank you. Lovely to see you here again. Let's have a look, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look and see who is in my green room tonight. My first guest is the phenomenal writer and star of 30 Rock. This is one of America's biggest sitcoms. I'm a huge fan of it. It's won all the major awards. It's my absolute favourite American show at the moment. She is the wonderful Tina Fey. There she is. It's Tina. Hello, Tina.
Hiya. How are you?
Oh, I've been so keen to get Tina on the show. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Now, Tina stars in a new movie called Date Night. It's a film about a married couple who go out on a date each Friday to keep the magic of the relationship alive. It's what Ashley Cole did. If only those dates had been with Cheryl. Tina, just swap the words Ashley Cole for Tiger Woods, you'll get the idea. That's what they're doing. Yeah. Tina Fey, ladies and gentlemen, on the show this evening, and thrilled she's here. Well, my next guest is another award winner. He played John Lennon in Nowhere Boy, and he is the star of the new movie Kick-Ass. He is Araron Johnson. Hey, Aaron. In the film, Aaron plays a 19-year-old nerd who at night dresses as a superhero. How sad is that, eh? Although, if you've got any spare costumes, I have a friend who might like to borrow one. If any have elasticated waist, that might help as well. Can't say his name, but he calls himself Spider Ross. You're laughing, but sadly, that's kind of true. My next guest is a 3 Michelin-starred chef and self-styled molecular gastronomist. That's a food buffet to you and I. It's the man who regularly out-wonkers Willie. Mr. Heston Blumenthal. Heston. Hey, Heston.
Hey, Jonathan, how you doing?
Is it Blumenthal or Blumenthal?
I can be whatever you want me to be.
Well, what do you say, Tal or Thal?
Thal.
Blumenthal. 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 It sounds like an expression, like that Blumenthal, doesn't it?
I won't tell you what my first name means in Greek.
What is it in Greek?
Oh, I know what it means.
Do you know what it means?
I'm Greek, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
What does it mean?
It means to crap yourself.
Yeah,
In Greece, whenever they used to release Charlton Heston movies in Greece, they had to change his name to Charlton Easton because it means Charlton crap on you.
What a great name on the marquee.
I told you that, should I?
We're 5 minutes in, we've learned something. Heston's restaurant, of course, the Fat Duck, is officially... it's got 3 Michelin stars, but it's officially now the 2nd best restaurant in the world. That's right, isn't it, Heston?
Apparently.
Yeah. Incredible. It used to be the best in the world, but that was before the opening of Fat Ali's Abracababra on the Edgware Road. Now, that, my friends, is goody. An online survey has revealed that us Brits prefer savoury food to sweet food. You know, I know it's Easter, we're talking about eggs, but really, it's not what we would prefer. So, we thought we'd show you this. We've been sent a very special Easter egg this year. If you'd like... Have we got it out there already? It's, you can see it's a very huge egg. It's a very large egg. Thank you, Will. This is Will. It's because... Let's pull this off and let's show what... It's made of cheese, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Cheester. You see? Cheester. It's actually made of cheese. You can probably smell it from there. I can eat it as well. Yeah. It's made of quite dry cheese that's been sitting out. World's largest cheese egg, or Cheester cheeg. Imagine eating that. You would never sleep or successfully go to the toilet again. And you've got to feel sorry for the cheese hen that laid it. You know what we need with a bit of cheese this big? We need some onion. That's clearly a space hopper. I said, let's get a giant onion in. People like giant foodstuffs on the show. That's clearly a space hopper. You know what, Heston, when I saw this egg made of cheese, I instantly thought of you, not because of the gastroscience, but because of this. Oh. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you to the people who supplied the cheese egg, and thank you to Will, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Will. If you go there. There you go. There you go. Crashed a cheese egg into a camera. Oh, dear. Shall we get my first guest out, ladies and gentlemen? Well, I'm as keen as mustard. how exciting it is for me to have you. I'm a huge fan.
Thank you.
You have many fans over here. You've been travelling, though. Before we get to the show and the film, you've been travelling, you've been promoting the movie through Europe.
Yes.
Pretty much a whistle-top store, I guess. Not too long in any one country. Where have you been so far?
I'm going around with Steve Carell for this movie that we've got coming out, and we went. First, I went to LA with him because I don't live there. He lives there.
You live in New York.
I live in New York, and then we went to Paris, and then we went to Berlin, and so we're thrilled now to be here. We're so thrilled to be out of a language barrier because you do these press junkets, and people come. You know, the German journalists come in and say, like, "You're not famous here, so why?" Are you, like, why do you have a movie? Like, it's just like such an awkward, unending barrier.
But aren't you half German? Wasn't your dad German?
Yeah, my mom's Greek, as we now know, and my dad of German descent, yeah.
So do you speak any German at all?
I can kind of pronounce. It's funny, because we were, in talking to the German journalist, the only 3 words that I knew were, es tut mir leid, Bergsteigen, and schwul, which it's, I'm sorry, mountain climbing, and gay.
Well, in the right party, that could come in very handy, I imagine, if you're having a weekend. So you're here now, which I'm delighted. I'm a big 30 Rock fan. It doesn't have as big an audience here yet because it isn't on one of the bigger channels.
It doesn't have a huge audience anywhere. Let's not kid ourselves.
Is it not? But it's big. I mean, you've been nominated for so many Emmys.
Well, we're very lucky. We've certainly won a lot of awards and stuff, but and we're on after The American Office, which helps us. But it's sort of, you know, in the golden days of Friends and Frasier are over when 20 million people would check it out.
But yeah, it's a great show. Before we talk about that properly, I'm sure that lots of people would have heard of you, even this country, they saw you because of your Sarah Palin impersonation on Saturday Night Live, which was it was in the news here even. When she appeared, you'd been in Saturday Night Live for a while, I guess. Did you immediately think, wow, this is going to be great for me, I look like I can do her, or did other people have to point that out to you?
I was already hearing, as soon as she was chosen in maybe August or whatever it was, a couple years ago, I started getting emails and my cousins and people saying, like, oh, I look just like her. And so I looked at it and I was like, nah, I don't really see it. And my husband was like, yeah, you look like her. And I think I had worked at Saturday Night Live and I had left to do 30 Rock, but I don't think people even realized that I had left, and people really were urging me to go back and try to do it.
And so you jumped at the opportunity, I guess. It was too good to...
Yeah, at first I kept saying I wasn't going to do it, and then next thing I knew, I was doing it.
Would you mind giving us a little bit of the Palin voice?
I'll try, but oh my God, I haven't done it in so long.
It's a while, isn't it? Yeah.
I have to remember to work into it. It's like she's got that real Minnesota, and she's just so happy to be talking about anything but the issues, and just I have to. I might end up having to do it in a week or so. I'm going back to SNL.
And you're going to host?
I'm going to host SNL in a couple weeks.
Well, that would be exciting. Well, that's like going back as the kind of conquering hero, isn't it? To go back
I can only lose.
Yeah.
I can only cede ground.
Well, Saturday Night Live kind of did that inspire 30 Rock? Because 30 Rock is set in a similar, if far less successful, sort of sketch show.
Yes, I play a head writer of a late night comedy show, and it sort of was the jumping off point. But the characters have now kind of taken a life of their own, and the difference too is that it's Saturday Night Live. That show is sort of an American institution that's been on for 35 years, and then on 30 Rock, the show within the show is quite terrible. Yeah.
And then people, when I see a show, when I fall in love with a show, which I have with that, and I fall in love with my whole family, we love Liz Lemon, we love the show, but people kind of, do they want you to be that character? Because I kind of want you to be Liz Lemon. I want you to endure that crushing loneliness and life at home eating cheese.
You would like me to be lonely at home?
Because I love her for her life.
Well, I certainly... I feel she's kind of a sliding doors version of me. If I had not found my husband and had not found someone to marry me, I would have just continued to sour and sink deeper into my work, and I would absolutely be exactly Liz Lemon.
But there must be some similarities, I'm sure, between you and her. You're not sour and lonely, but...
Not so sour anymore, but I can be sour, and I certainly like my terrible food, and I work too much, and I'm very awkward with people, and I'm not fun at parties.
Well, you... so you really are Liz Lemon.
I really am, yeah.
Just with a husband.
Yeah.
And Alec Baldwin, if you know the show, you know Alec Baldwin is just godlike on this program. His presence is magisterial. Was he always intended for that role?
I wrote the role with him in mind because he had hosted Saturday Night Live a bunch of times, and he's so funny, and he had, heretofore been known as just this dramatic leading man, but he hosted like 12 times, and people just kept realizing how funny he was. Yeah. But we actually auditioned a bunch of actors and met with a bunch of actors before I had the guts to approach him about it.
What's he like with the with that? Because in a way, I guess he's the most experienced actor. He's had a
Oh
movie
my God, technically he's the only actor on the
so
show.
does he tutor other? Is he like a mentor to other people?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot from working with him, and we're always pairing him with, you know, these random people. We did in season 4, which we just finished, which I guess you'll have here in like 9 years. But we put him with crazy people. We've gotten a habit this year. There's a guy who's a custodian at the studio where we shoot, and his name is Subhas, and we put him in the show a few times as a custodian.
Like a janitor guy.
A janitor guy. Oh yeah, sorry, a janitor.
Yeah.
And he's really, you know, he's really natural and charming. And then I guess what I learned from this was that maybe Alec doesn't actually watch the show after it's done, because then Subhas then got a bigger story. We sort of did a Conan Jay Leno parallel where the night janitor, the overnight janitor, wanted the 11:30 janitor shift, and it was like a janitor war. And so we had one guy was an actor, and then we just used Subhas again, and Alec pulled the director aside and was like, "This guy is terrible. This guy's a terrible actor." And we were like, "Alec, he's the janitor. And he's been on 4 times."
You know, I'm sure many fans have asked you this, but it's rather like the X-Files, in that you wanted Mulder and Scully to get together. You wanted to see that chemistry finally bear fruit. And we all wonder whether or not Liz Lemon is going to get it on with Jack Donaghy.
Yeah, I think we've committed to the fact that no, they should never be together.
Hello and welcome to Friday Night with me, Jonathan Ross.
Welcome to Alan Carr, China!
You know, I said that I wanted you to be like Liz Lemon. But I also wanted you to be married to Steve Carell. Because after I saw Date Night, I think this is a perfect couple. These guys should be married together.
Thank you.
But you knew each other before the movie?
We had known each other a little over the years because we'd both come out of Second City, but we were never anyplace quite at the same time. So this is the first time we've worked together. And yeah, other than our shows being back-to-back.
Well, it's kind of weird that the TV show's back-to-back and then you're married on the big screen.
Yeah.
Explain the Date Night to people who haven't seen it or don't know about even the concept of the Date Night.
Yeah, the Date Night apparently is maybe a little bit of an American thing, because once again, all the Germans were like, "We do not do this." All right, fine, settle down. Date Night is, you know, when kind of married parents try to carve out a once-a-week time to go out together. And Steve and I play this married couple living in New Jersey, and we have a nice life, 2 kids, but we're kind of just in a rut, and we find out our friends are getting divorced, and it freaks us out. So we try to have a really special night out, and we go into Manhattan, and we end up stealing another couple's reservation to get into this fancy restaurant. We just say, "Yes, we're the Triple Horns, sure." And then it turns into a little bit of an action movie because we're mistaken for some other people.
Well, I loved it because it's very funny. I loved it because you're in it.
Thank you.
I loved it because you're with your husband-to-be Steve Carell in it. But also, you know, it was surprised me because it was different. But it's very, very funny. Do you and your husband, do you do the date night thing?
Yeah, we try. I mean, we try to get out. We don't call it date night. The Obamas, they call it their date night.
They call it date night.
So this usually involves taking a jet to a Broadway show.
Is there pressure on you, though, on those nights when you go out with your husband? Do you feel like this better be better? And do you have to, and I don't want to intrude on your personal life, but do you have to give up the sweet stuff at the end of a date night?
That actually comes up in the movie where we have, Carell and I have kind of a negotiation at the end of a date night of like, "You're tired, right?" I mean, I could rally, but I am tired. And I kind of feel kind of gassy from the meal, so I think, that's married life.
That's an impressive frontage. Yeah, that's a lot of man.
Mark Wahlberg is in the movie, never wears a shirt the whole movie.
Now, was this in his contract or did you insist?
It was in my contract.
But he's got the kind of chest that if I had that, I would take my shirt off.
His chest is prettier than my face. And every place we go in this junket, 100 people say to Steve Carell, like, "Is it hard for you to be next to Mark Wahlberg, who is more handsome than you?" He's a very good sport about it.
Well, there's no real answer you can give there, of course, is there?
No.
Are you going to be here for long? Are you spending any of Easter over here in the UK?
No, I'll get back home for Easter.
But that's a shame for you because over here we have actual chocolate.
Well, what are you saying? I'm from Pennsylvania. We have Hershey's chocolate.
Yeah, OK, and can I tell you, Hershey's, there's stuff you sell as chocolate in the States. If we had it over here, you would put a wick in it and use it to light the room.
How dare you?
It's barely edible. Have you ever had real chocolate?
Yeah, maybe my idiot palate, but I like my American chocolate.
Well, that shows you in a very poor light. Seriously, have you never realised that it's like sucking a newspaper, American chocolate?
Unbelievable.
It's one of the most distressing things.
I won't stand for this.
Well, you don't have to. I've got something here that's going to blow your tiny mind, Faye. I've got real... this is some real...
I will eat it. You're going to eat a little bit of it? Yeah.
Try this, and this is proper chocolate.
All All right.
This is not, by the way, this isn't British. This is Swiss, I think.
Swiss.
It comes from near the Hadron Collider, so it's got extra kind of... It glows.
And we're eating this to celebrate the death of Jesus.
Yeah, we are. And the return, I believe.
And the return.
And the sequel. Just suck on it, let it melt in your mouth a bit.
How dare you? That's good.
Yeah, how much better than your homegrown crap is that?
You know, it's different. It's like Steve and Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's actual chocolate. You never tried that before. That's got what we call cocoa solids in it.
I prefer the real America chocolate.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
good. You can have something to take home.
All right.
I'm so thrilled to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I'm a fan, my whole family fan. We have a lot of fans in here this evening. It's great. You must come on and give some time. The fabulous Tina Fey, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Tina.
All right.
So genuine. And the chocolate's yours if you want it.
All right, thanks.
Tina Fey. Shall we get my next guest out, ladies and gentlemen? OK, let's see him as super geek superhero in the new smash hit movie Kick-Ass. I love it. Please welcome the wonderfully talented Mr. Araron Johnson. Great to have you here, Aaron. Well, you're looking good. Before we start, I should point out I have a loose association with the movie Kick-Ass because my beautiful wife wrote the script, or co-wrote the script. So I've seen it any number of times. And people might think I'm raving about it, I'm raving about that, but no, it's got like 5-star reviews everywhere, hasn't it? It's been like kind of everyone seems to love it. You must be filled. Are you at all surprised, though?
Well, no, I mean, we're delighted, you know. It's fantastic to, get that sort of level in sort of enthusiasm, and it's good.
So what's the story? People who don't know it, and most people have a rough idea, I guess, but if people haven't heard of the story and don't know about Kick-Ass, what makes it different to a more conventional superhero movie like a Spider-Man film, one of those?
It's, a bunch of kids who are kind of caught up in a sort of imagination of it all, and they sort of jump in naively, sort of not expecting the sort of consequences, and none of them have superpowers, so they really do get hurt, and my character gets beaten in the head quite a lot.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
19 years old, ladies. I mean, imagine being 19, young lady, and starring in movies. It appears that you're living the dream. It must be, I would have thought, beyond your expectations to be where you are right now.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
But did you have a plan? I mean, do you kind of... were you looking for certain roles? Were you looking for certain things? I mean, when did you start in the acting business?
Quite young. I was 6. You're constantly trying to find something different, and that's what I like doing, you know. I mean, Kick-Ass was completely different, and the character was something that I've never really sort of ventured before, so... you're forever looking for something different, just purely for my own sort of sanity, really.
There's a pretty young picture of you right there. I don't know how old you're there. You're about 8, are there, I think? Yeah.
10.
That's in Tom and Thomas, I believe.
Yeah.
So when presumably there must be a stage when you thought, you know what, I like this, I want to do this for myself. When did you get the bug yourself?
Well, I wasn't really forced into it by, my parents. They're not that sort of people, but they were, I was pretty active when I was a kid and did a bunch of things, and that was one thing that took off more than anything else, so...
OK, like all young British actors, Aaron's done a fair amount of TV work. You've appeared in many of the stalwart TV shows. Did you ever do The Bill, by the way?
I did do The Bill,
You did The Bill. OK, you did The Bill, which has just been cancelled. That's gone now from my screens. You were in Casualty as well, I think?
I did do Casualty.
OK, but it's Casualty doing what only Casualty does. You know what I love about it? You're watching it and you think... Whenever I watch Casualty, especially the opening, you're thinking, when's the accident going to happen? When's the accident? And you're waiting to spot the accident. If it's a guy up a tree or cutting a hedge with something sharp, you know when the accident's going to happen, But here, you don't know when the accident's going to come. It's quite a surprise. They cut from you and the other guy crashing to a guy being told he's got herpes. I wish I'd seen that episode. That looks like the greatest episode ever.
Yeah, the great writers at Casualty.
OK. Kick-Ass, which is already opened. It opened on Wednesday, and I suspect it's going to be a big, big hit for you. You get to work with some great cast members. There's the great British actor Mark Strong, who's tremendous. I don't think I've seen him give a bad performance. And Nicolas Cage, who's really back on great form. You know, I've always liked his work, but he delivers those kind of slightly mad performances early on, and it's back to one of those. Are you at all intimidated working with a guy like that, or are you relaxed? Do you learn anything from them, or is it just kind of another cast member for you?
Yeah, you definitely learn a lot, both from Mark Strong and Nicolas Cage. And yeah, I mean, yeah, he brings this mad sort of Adam West impersonation to the character, and it was pretty bizarre at first. And I thought this was, I don't know, it was pretty crazy and bizarre. Anyway.
Well, they're great characters in the film. Kick-Ass is great, but you've got Big Daddy and you've got Hit Girl, who's the one who's caused a little bit of fuss, but she's the kind of, she really leaps out at you, doesn't she? I mean, everyone wants to talk about Hit Girl, I imagine.
Yeah.
She's tremendous. How old is the young actress Chloe who played her?
She was 11 filming that. She's 13 now.
Wow, she's tremendous, isn't it? It's a really kind of, it's a big grown-up performance by her. Did she do the stunts as well? Because there's some real kind of crazy...
Yeah, she did as much as she possibly could. She put a hell of a lot of hard work into it, yeah. I mean, I was training her like a frickin' Marine, so...
And who does the rest? Because it must be hard, because she's a tiny little kid. It must be hard to find stunt people of that size.
They're like a little gymnast kid. He's really good. I think they terrified the life out of him, though, because, you know, they was, like, shooting all sorts of bullets and guns and blowing up set around him. And all he wanted to do was do a couple of little flips and stuff.
Let me ask you about... You know, I thought you gave a tremendous performance in Nowhere Boy. You played the young John Lennon, which is, I would have thought, a daunting role for many people to take on, the daunting chance. Were you a Beatles fan before? Were you a fan of Lennon? Did you know much about his life?
Yeah, I mean, Beatles is pretty much embedded in our sort of, you know, history, really. So, yeah, no, I love the music. And Lennon, yeah, no, I didn't know this part of the life as much as... I mean, not many people really do, because it's the only part of his life that wasn't ever filmed or documented.
It's a very early period, even before they formed the band, even. Just leading up to that,
it goes up until the point where they leave towards Hamburg.
That film's out in May on DVD, you were saying. You won an award for it, didn't you? You won an award. There was an Empire, which is the very fine film magazine Empire, and they gave you an award a couple of weekends ago, which I believe you don't have. What happened with this? What's going on here?
I got an Empire award for Best Newcomer, and then I think we got it.
Where did you last see it? Where was it?
I left it in the back of a cab.
You left it
straight afterwards, actually, just from there to dinner.
What, were you just not thinking, or you were playing Nintendo?
You know
what
was
it?
Do you know what? It's one of those things that, I don't know, you feel a bit of a sort of carrying around with you, because you... you know, I wasn't intentionally sort of... I didn't mean to lose it. It's just one of those things.
You didn't have a carrier bag or something you could put it in?
Fortunately, no.
Okay. So this was still in the back of a cab. So, you know, well, we had it delivered to us. The cab driver...
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, the cab driver has...
Well, there you go.
So I'm going to give it to you. This is your... I'll give it to you.
Do you know, I wouldn't. I'd lose it.
What?
No, I won't. Seriously, thank you, Empire. Thank you.
Don't leave it there. If you don't leave it in the green room either. You've been in the news as well a little bit because, of course, the director of Nowhere Boy is now your fiancée. You're engaged now to Sam Taylor-Wood, the brilliant British artist, and did a fabulous job on that as well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's lovely. And you're expecting as well? You've got a baby on the way, the two of you?
Yeah, in the summertime, yeah.
Can I ask, do you know whether it's a boy or a girl? Do you want to find out?
I don't know. It's a surprise.
Okay. Do you have any names sorted out yet, or...?
Yeah, we've got a list of boys and a list of girls.
So you're kind of ahead of yourself there. But you're already a dad to an extent, because you have stepchildren now, and if you're going to get married, they'll be yours, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
How are you finding that? How are you finding being a young father to...
Great, yeah. I mean, that's what that's why most people say we wouldn't. You know, it's been my first child, but you know, most people say, "Are you nervous?" and I guess I'm not really, because you know, I live with, you know, the two girls, one's 3 and one's 12, and you know, I already sort of do the school runs and stuff like that, and you know, and it's just a family home, so I'm just excited for them.
Well, that's a lovely thing. On the school run, do teachers ever think you should be in the class as well? Because you're a very handsome young man, and you are indeed a man, but I mean, I would say, go ahead, get... When I look at teenagers now, they all look the same age to me. I'd go, hey, you, stop chatting, get in.
No, thank God.
Before you go, I gave Tina a chocolate egg, of course. You're already familiar with British chocolate, so I thought I'd give you something different. We've got this for you, which I thought might be appropriate this time of year. This is a different sort of Easter treat. Do you want to open it out and have a look what that is?
It feels like something like cold beef or something.
No, you're not far off. I just thought, what would be a nice alternative to chocolate this Easter for people who already probably get a lot? And I thought maybe, there we go, look at this. It's a ham.
Oh, piece of ham.
Yeah. When is ham not a good idea?
There you go.
I feel bad now because Tina, we didn't give you a ham, and I can see you. Would you like a ham?
Yeah.
You prefer a ham?
Yeah.
It'll probably taste better than American ham, you know that, don't you?
No.
Ready for that?
I'm going to fight you, Jonathan. I'm going to physically fight you.
We'll see if we can find you a ham. We might have a ham knocking around somewhere. Maybe one's fallen down the back of one of the seats. Aaron, great to have you here. Congratulations on Kick-Ass. Don't lose that award.
Thank you.
Don't leave the ham there. What's wrong with you? You can't carry more than one thing at once. Also, Heston's coming out. He'll blow it up or something. I don't know. Araron Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, a lovely young man. Thank you for joining us. Take the ham with you. Take it. It's your ham. It's a gift.
All right, cool.
Good to see you. Yeah, Aaron, it's a wooden point as well. Araron Johnson. Shall we get my next guest out, ladies and gentlemen? I think we should. One of his restaurants just called because they've run out of sulfuric acid for the custard. Will you please welcome the unique Heston Blumenthal? I'm excited, Heston, to see you. You're like one of my heroes, Heston. You're such a remarkable talent, but also, I love this on TV. I've been watching you on and off one. You look like you've lost some weight. You look like you've buffed up. Am I right, sir?
Yeah, I have. I've got a new dish. Involves putting a tube in my stomach.
Oh, Heston. No, you don't. But
No, I've been playing a lot of racquetball, actually.
You've deliberately been... And what is this?
What's funny about that?
Is this because you're getting older, you want to keep in good shape, or just you want to play the game itself? Or?
It's a mixture, because the trouble is, this chef's life is not the easiest. You tend to work long hours.
And there's food there the whole time, so I guess you're snacking.
Funny enough, the worst... It's not so much at work for me, it's when I get home from work. Because I just pick. It's like finishing work at 5:30.
Yeah.
And then going to bed. You're not going to do it. So I get home at midnight and I open the fridge and I've got one of my really bad guilty pleasures is prawn cocktail.
Prawn cocktails? Are these some sort of flash prawn cocktail you make yourself?
No, I'm not saying langoustines in sauce and entourage. This is like a supermarket, cottonwool prawns in mayo rose sauce. And my wife, she knows this, and I ask her not to buy the prawn cocktail. And some nights I get home, I open the fridge door and it's sitting on the top shelf.
Oh. But there's something about that oddly sweet sauce.
Oh, it's like a ray of light that comes out of the fridge, and I can hear this. My shoulders sink as I go and get the.
And you just slurp it down
the whole
in one.
Thing, the whole
thing. Do you use a fork or just your fingers?
No, so sometimes I get a piece of bread. I shouldn't be telling you this actually. Sometimes a piece of bread. Why did I say that?
Hey, how come your hair's growing back? I thought you were bald, but you've got, from the look of things, that you have the full head of hair if you want to let it
someone
grow.
said to me the other day, I met somebody who was bald because they were bald, they had no
Male
choice.
pattern baldness, it's a curse, yeah.
Well, I'm not... I'm only bald because I shave my head. The problem I've got is...
Well, that must be annoying to genuinely bald people.
Yeah, but... OK, apologies to any genuinely bald people
That would be
there.
like me hopping around as if I had a leg missing and then putting it down and going, actually, I've got one. I'm just pretending. Why would you do that?
The thing is, also, being in a kitchen with a thick head of hair, imagine it's like wrapping a doormat around your head and standing in a sauna. It's not very comfortable.
No. I imagine that's how you cook some of your dishes as well.
Actually, in the first series of Feast, we did try. We cooked the pig in the jacuzzi. And we were talking about cooking
We should point out that there weren't any holiday makers in the jacuzzi at the time. It was a purpose-built...
No, we had to take the limiter off because jacuzzis, if they go up to 60 degrees of the temperature you need to cook a pig at, you would kill a human being.
What's the oddest thing you've ever cooked anything in apart from a jacuzzi?
We did a couple of... I'm just trying to think this last... Oh, no, this series. Not quite cooking, but I tried to eat a banoffee pie in a wind tunnel. You know, there's skydiving tunnels.
Well, we're laughing, but we've all thought about it.
It always sounds worse when I hear the words coming out of my mouth.
OK, but what purpose would that serve? I'm not...
Well, it was the dessert for the 1980s feast, which we actually served last night.
So this is the new series of feasts where you do a different themed feast, a strange gastronomic challenge to yourself, I guess you say. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and they are fantastic to do. There's a lot of work, and we kind of did. It was a bit harder this series because we did ourselves in the first series. We took medieval period.
Yeah.
And we because it was with the 3 dishes I wanted to cook. Those 3 dishes spanned 600 years. So in one programme we just wiped out.
You've done history, essentially. Yeah,
basically. So this series we've gone to more recent decades. You know, you're scraping the barrel when you go to a decade. The 80s, the 70s and the 60s.
Well, no, not at all. I love seeing that stuff because I remember that food as well. And when you see something like the 80s, you think banoffee pie was of the 80s.
Yeah, we've done pot noodle.
Oh.
We made the biggest Breville toasted sandwich
I love a
maker in
toasted
the
sandwich.
world.
But what have you done with the pot noodle? Because we could all cook a pot noodle, Heston.
Aha. We made... the guests made their own noodles by extruding them from like a Play-Doh machine into a teapot that was over a candle that then melted into the soup. And in the bowl were this spaghetti, dashi soy sauce spaghetti made out of seaweed so it doesn't melt. Yeah. And then, you know, they get these little sachet in the pot noodle container. Yeah. And that was all edible cellophane. Wow. And we had freeze-dried fruits in there. So they poured the soup from the teapot into the pot, the sachet melted, poured it into the soup.
And I bet, knowing your skills, I bet it tasted almost as good as the original pot noodles.
I'm not sure if I could have got that far.
Gordon Ramsay, who is a tremendous chef.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
His restaurants are great. He's been on the shows. He's a great guest member. But there was a story saying that some of the food in his gastro pubs is pre-prepared. Is that common in the industry? Is that something that you would ever do?
I saw that article and I thought it was absolute nonsense. What happened? There's probably the single biggest change in the professional kitchen this century is this system called sous vide, where you put food in a vacuum bag, seal it, and then you cook it in a water bath. So it's a very controllable temperature. And it keeps all the moisture in, and then if you want to brown it afterwards, you open the bag and you put it in a hot pan.
So this is used in kitchens all the time now, I guess?
Yes. Yeah. And so Gordon was with a batch of his restaurants. We all use that sous vide system, and Gordon will do it in his flagship restaurant. But in some of his pubs, it made more sense, because it was very busy, to have a central kitchen where you'd be doing this process. And so I think, from what I gather, some photographer followed them, and this sort of going up the stairs with these boxes and said, it's almost like ready-made meals.
Yeah,
Well, the chap came to the restaurant and said it was a slow-cooked pork belly. So he said, I think the slow-cooked pork, how long does it take? And the waitress said, 20 minutes. So, of course, he said, how can you call it slow-cooked if it takes 20 minutes? It'd been cooked the day before.
But that's still fresh food, and that would still would be
better.
how you prepare
it would be better that way. So that was very unfair.
So is there any part of the animal you wouldn't cook? Or, I mean, I'm sure you deal with vegetarians as well who don't want to eat anything that's been alive. Yeah. But are there any parts when you're dealing with a chicken or pig, or there bits of the...
Well, I mean, there's some parts that I don't think taste as nice as others. Now, those, they're very classical French culinary ingredient. They're actually known as white kidneys, and they're inside the chicken. They're not testicles as we know it, but obviously, from a TV point of view, they are testicles.
Better to say they're balls, because it's funnier.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, why with your place, it was shut down for food poisoning for a while, wasn't it?
I knew this was going to happen.
Well, no. It's fair enough if you're a chef and you have a place shut down for food poisoning that you get asked questions about it. It's only like in your personal life.
This was last February.
So what's the deal there? What happened?
Well, what happened was... basically, we had the last couple of years had this outbreak of norovirus, which is the winter vomiting bug.
That's horrible, yeah.
Which is awful. And for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been sending food away for testing, bacteriological testing, just as a matter of course. If anything comes up, then it flags up an issue and we look at it. And we found out we were having this... some people were writing and saying that they'd been ill. It got to the point where... all our tests came back negative.
So you had no problems? You were
no problems at all.
But people were coming down ill after eating something?
Yes, and so I made the decision to close the restaurant. And at that point, I had no choice, but it was still a hard decision to make, because I closed the restaurant not knowing if we'd ever open again. And it turned out that what we'd done was bought oysters. We were buying some oysters from an incredibly reputable oyster company. Colchester, Essex, had the highest level of norovirus last year in the country. There was sewage, raw sewage, being pumped into the sea.
Nice.
And the oysters are filters. So if the water's got a virus, the oysters will pick the virus up. But an oyster with a virus is glistening, it smells fresh, you have no idea.
Still looks as deliciously like someone sneezed into your hand as a health food.
Absolutely right.
Let's cook, Heston. You got some... you're going to cook us something?
Ah, yes, I am.
And this is scientific cooking of the sort that you shouldn't try at home, even if you have this equipment. Tell us what you're going to do, Heston. What are you going to...
This was one of the dishes from the feast.
OK, bring the gear in.
And we did a...
Wow, that looks good. Okay. Now, this is not your regular stove, is it?
That on you.
What is this?
OK,
Oh, this is liquid nitrogen again.
Yeah, in here.
We had some of this on the show last week. You're not meant to put your fingers in it, because... What the mother lover? What are you doing? You're a nut job. Get out of here! Hey, you can do it then. Can I have a go?
Yeah, go on.
This is probably breaking every safety rule.
I know.
Yeah, but I'm leaving it, don't matter. There you go. Wait! That was cold. That got on my cold belly
cold,
bit.
isn't it?
That made my belly a bit cold. It's like tickling. So you can do it, but you mustn't leave your hand in.
Don't leave your hand in.
Because your fingers will pop off.
No, there's a professor at the University of College London who can somehow have a glug of this stuff and spit it out. So don't try that at
Why
home.
are we even saying that in front of young people? Let's not.
I didn't say that.
OK. Well, you did.
So this is...
So hold it, how does this cook then? 'Cause
Right,
it's
so-
cold, this would freeze.
Yeah, so 1970s feast.
Yeah.
Dessert, we used the inspiration from a pick and mix.
Yeah.
So, in here, there's a shrimp.
What, a real shrimp's in there?
No, it's actually custard ice cream, rhubab sorbet. So it's rhubarb and custard.
Wow.
And it's white chocolate sprayed with a coloured white chocolate.
That must take hours just to make that.
Yeah, that was a long time. In here, sherbet fountain.
Yeah.
But it's a vanilla straw, so it's a vanilla pod dried on a cocktail stick, and the fountain is Christmas tree flavoured. Wrong time of year, but...
Wow.
So have a dip and have a...
So I can have a suck of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does taste... it doesn't taste like regular
piney
sherbet.
thing.
Oh, yeah, it tastes a bit horrible. It does. No, don't do that. I can be I'm all over me ghoulies. I'll tell you what it tastes a bit like. Shake and vac. Remember that? I thought you'd take that as a compliment, Heston.
OK.
It's nice, though, but it's nice. It's good quality, shake and vac.
So, to finish the dessert, here we've got there's a gobstopper.
A big gobstopper. What's that made out of?
It's got some fromage blanc, orange flower water, and some popping candy. Remember
Wow.
Space
Oh,
Dust?
yeah, I love that stuff.
And here's this is based on there's coconut tea cakes you get in pick and mix. That's a brioche that's been caramelised. It's warm. And I'm going to do the little fried eggs.
Oh, the little toy fried,
Yeah.
sweet fried eggs. So you can do this with the cold plate here?
Yes.
It's the
so
opposite.
this is fromage blanc and lychee. So you put some of that on the griddle.
Can I have a slug of this?
Yeah. That's a lot. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Why did you tell me to have a slug then if you knew that was going to happen? Well, that's very Moorish.
And then... There.
I'm an idiot.
OK. It's not working.
It's not
Look at
working, is
that.
it? Have you done this before, Heston?
Yeah, yes. But it's not...
Well, why don't we just dip it in? Like, I'll tell you what, like, let's cheat it. I'll help you because I'm quite good at this sort of thing. Watch out, don't splash it too much. Just put it in there.
Hold it out. No.
Oh, that's all dripping. Wow! Oh, jeez! Wow! My leg! I've lost a knee.
Right, I'm going to finish this off now. OK, so imagine that's got a fried egg on there.
Imagine.
You just have to imagine.
Imagine we did that successfully.
Yeah.
This is surprisingly cold.
And we serve the plate like this.
OK? The chair's frozen.
So
Yeah.
you lift, this is like the flying saucer.
This look,
1970s.
you would look good in that as a hat.
So open the lid
OK, so this will be a 70s treat for people. Let's open the lid up.
and stand back.
Wow, that is... What a lovely surprise.
Look at that.
That's pretty good. See if you can get it to land on one of the fellas' heads.
Stay still, David. No. Come on.
What do you mean, no? He's not... Oh! So close. Can I try one of these, Heston?
Yes.
Oh, that is delicious.
It's rhubarb and custard.
And we taste it. Maybe... Would any of you like to try this? Yes. What a shame. What is this? Heston brought something else on the show. I've got no... It's a lot of liquid nitrogen there. Is that expensive liquid nitrogen?
Right, this stuff we did for the...
What the hell is that?
We did it for the Wonka feast. It's called sulfur hexafluoride.
Sulfur hexafluoride?
Yeah, otherwise known as furlong gas. You know how helium makes your voice go
It
high?
does something to the vocal cords,
Yes.
doesn't it? And it makes you... Wah, wah, wah.
Right. So this was The starter was
You must have so much fun just playing. Can you just order science stuff and play around with it all day? Wow, that's something.
Right, ready?
So you're filling up a magic mushroom from the look of it. Oh, that sounds good.
Right, you've got to suck all of that in.
Do I take it down into my...
Right down, and then wait for 2 seconds and start talking.
I'm not going to get high, am I? Because I'll get messy and tell you I love you.
Take a big, deep breath. So all the way, 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 all the way. Wait for 2 seconds afterwards. Wait, wait, wait. Now start talking.
Oh, my God. Oh, my Lord. Wow. And I tell you what, Daddy likes. Daddy likes. Give me some more of that head to the floor, will you? Give me another hit of that. Baby's hurting bad. Baby needs another hit, Daddy. Tell you what, this is good gear. I'm getting a bit dizzy. That
didn't work. Oh, that time. What's going on now? Coming to the West End next Tuesday. It's Kick-Ass.
Wow, that's some good going on there. That is some good gear.
It's good, isn't it?
Can I take some home for the kids? Heston, it's great to have you on. Thank you so much. Is there anything, before you go, anything you've never cooked that you really want to? Is there anything like, would be, if I could give you the gift of something extraordinary, that would be the one thing that you've been hoping for?
I'd probably like the challenge of trying to cook something in space.
Would you cook a person? I bet secretly you've got recipes.
Oh, no.
In your head,
for
haven't you?
the Gothic horror feast, we did serve a skeleton.
You served a skeleton?
Yeah, but where the rib cage was, we put these braised beef ribs, and there was brain fritters in the skull.
But was it a real human skeleton?
It was a real plastic replica of a human skeleton on a morgue table.
Well, you look kind of like... You look a little bit like that bloke who does the bodyworks there. Gunther von Hagen's father.
I've got my hat, though, have I?
Yeah, well, you just... Here we go. You do look like Harry Hill going to a special party. Hey, great to have you here. Heston, I'm a huge fan of you. I think you are a bloody genius, as well as a Blumenthal. Mr. Heston Blumenthal, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you. You want to stay for the music?
Thank you. I'd love to.
Okay, we're going to stay and enjoy the music. Thanks to all my guests this week, the wonderful Heston Blumenthal, Araron Johnson, and, of course, the fabulous Tina Fey. And welcome to Friday Night with me, Jonathan Ross.
Welcome to Alan Carr, China!
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, I've just been... Oh. Don't patronise me, Alicia.